Hey Reflections, if you want to support this channel, go check out my Etsy shop. I have a lot of cool stuff. Hey Reflections! So, I've been gone for a while, and that's because I've been working on a lot of stuff recently. I feel like this cup overflowing with inspiration and creativity and motivation, and I just hit the ground running, and there's just so many projects I'm working on, and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. The first one being my merch shop. Of course, I have functional art and functional merch, and if you want to check it out, go to my Etsy shop. Everything's there. I've got hoodies, I've got t-shirts, I've got everything, joggers, all of the stuff that I pretty much wear, like I'm designing for myself. Yeah, and it's in my shop, and if you guys want to rock that, go do it, support this channel. Anyway, so a second shout out I wanted to do was for Logan, my very first Patreon subscriber. Thank you so much. I forgot I had a Patreon because I just never used it and I didn't have any Patreons. But anyway, of course he's a programmer, and I just wanted to give him a shout out because not only does he support this channel, but he supports Your Mate Tom and Psych Substance, and that is badass. People like you are what's keeping this psychedelic research and content going. Thank you so much. Now, today we're gonna be talking to Misha Lee, and I'm so excited because like she was my inspiration to start this channel. Her and Neuro Soup and Taylor Marie and all of these people before me that started really gave me the courage to come out with my own story. And when I first met her and we exchanged energy, like she's just a ball of sunshine and a breath of fresh air, and she's so kind and so loving, and I really resonated with her and I vibed with her. And we talked about the most amazing subjects like floating and sensory deprivation and meditation and the spiritual path, not fitting in, family, dealing with the world after psychedelics and mental health. All of these amazing, amazing topics. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna love it because I had a blast doing it. Anyway, I'm not gonna keep you guys anymore. Enjoy the show.
Be figured out, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But I really like that sparkly idea. We'll see if something like that manifests. I have no idea. Like, I'm just not even sure. I just kind of move into it one step at a time with very few intentions about what it's going to be, because any intention that I have about the creation seems to interfere with the channeling of the energy and the what I'm trying to express, or what's trying to express itself through me more specifically.
Yeah. So what mediums do you use?
Paper, glue. I work on wood panel, so that's mostly it. Sometimes I'll use marker somewhere to trace like images. That's what's on there now is marker. Just to like kind of get the baseline or the grid underneath it figured out, because it's a really complex image. So I don't want that to get lost. So I had to do that part.
Yeah, no, I'm all like, I went to art school, but I learned nothing in art school. Everything I learned was doing it on my own, like you are. And I realized that a lot of artists look down on tracing and all of that stuff, but it's a means to an end. Just like gridding, you know, like I find nothing wrong with it as long as it's a means to an end and it's part of the creative process. I don't find that there's anything wrong with it.
Me either. Yeah, I think there was maybe a time where I was judging myself about it, but I don't care. It's a really complex piece of geometry, and I want to get it right. And nobody owns geometry; like it's part of nature. So I don't worry about that at all.
Also, it's like you can't do a grid or a layout without like a ruler and like or tracing or something, because it's really hard. Especially I was working on the 64 star tetrahedron. That was like difficult, and I think to do it on a painting or a mural or acrylic or whatever oil would be really difficult because again, like you're doing the tracing underneath, but you have to make sure you have the lines perfect, or else it's gonna look like shit.
Yeah, there's something about the perfectionism in the expression of the geometry that's so important. Like that's what makes it so breathtaking. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to fangirl out a little bit because you and I think hamburgers and stilettos and Taylor Murray really inspired me, and we're the only, and sorry, Neuro Soup as well. You guys were the only ones that I saw online talking about this that were women, and you came from a very pure and loving and very divine feminine aspect, you know, and I just resonated with that. I still resonate with that. And that's why, like, I just want to fangirl out because, like, you were the reason why I had the courage. That and psychosis.
Oh man, that sounds fascinating.
Yes, I went too far.
Yeah.
And I just had too many psychedelic experiences without any breaks.
Yeah.
And that's why I talk about safety, you know,
Yeah.
And just taking a break because I went into psychosis for like, I'd say 3 to 6 months.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, I was able to survive. I was able to keep it together, but like, was I freaking out? Absolutely. You know, I lived alone at that point. So that's why I started doing videos because I lived alone in Manhattan and I didn't have anybody to express these thoughts to. And when I did, to my friends and family, they all thought I was having a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
So,
I can resonate with that.
Right? So, what inspired you to start doing videos and to start talking about psychedelics?
Yeah, videos. I guess I actually, it took me a while to actually start doing them because I was, there's this like part of me who is preventing me from doing it, like this inner critic part of me who just like wanted to interfere and sabotage like every attempt I made. So every time I would sit down with the camera or the device or whatever, I would not be able to get it out. Like I would stumble over my words and I wouldn't be able to express my truth and everything was getting tangled. So it actually took me a while to get to that point. But the frustration I had in being able to express was actually also part of the motivation to get there because I felt like I guess I went through years wondering like, who am I? You know, like I want to know what my voice sounds like. I want to know who I am when I'm not relating to a person because I'm talking to people all the time, all day long. I feel the subtle ways in which back in the day, I really would shift my vibration a lot to meet people where they're at. And I'm not doing that as much anymore. I might be taking a little more space now that I'm a bit older and I've had time to reflect, but I've gotten to this, I was getting to a point of being like, I just need to know who I am because it seems like I'm some kind of chameleon who can just sort of blob out everywhere I go, just blob into some other form of myself. And I had some insecurity about that. It was like an egoic problem, really. So I don't know, but it was a necessary part of what I was moving through in my personal evolution. So yeah, I got on camera and just recorded and was just video journaling a lot. And that's kind of how it started is getting good with just talking to myself. And then I thought maybe I'll start just sharing this and just release myself and share as candidly as I can what it is I'm going through. And I actually hid my first video for a while because of the struggle that I had in the video trying to express myself. But it's out now. And I'm not hiding it. And I feel good about that. But yeah, just the wish to just figure myself out a bit, I guess, is a short answer.
Yeah. I go through this daily. And I understand what you're talking about. The self judgment and the ego that you have to work through. It's why I've done like 5 videos this year. It's something I struggle with as well. And I find after going through life altering experiences that change you from the very core of what you were, you don't know yourself anymore.
It's true. Yeah, and it's actually, there's nothing really to grasp at as far as like who I am. It's like it actually is intangible. Like you can't hold on to it. That the experiences I've had in the psychedelic realm have really showed me that over and over again in different ways. Um, yeah, especially 5-MeO DMT. Oh my goodness, that was the most epic paradigm shift that I've ever experienced, and it's continuing to work on me.
And how did you use that? Like what changed within you?
Afterwards, or
Like what was the for me it was just like stripping my ego literally and dying.
Yeah.
And experiencing death.
Yeah, so interesting that you say that, because my experience was I was being born. I felt like I was being born. I don't remember what it was like while I was in, whatever that means, because it was just like a pattern. If I can remember anything, pattern, maybe a little flickers of light, but no real tangible memories that I can take home and be like, this is what I saw and this is what I experienced. I had no stories, but I had the feeling of emergence and birthing myself into a new dimension and a new paradigm. And for like ever since I left that appointment, actually layers of myself have been falling off of me. Like it's just been like dropping away all these aspects and parts of me that don't serve me. And it's been really brutal, because it's just like one thing after another after another. I'm looking at my life with this new lens, and I'm like, I don't need this anymore. Like this isn't necessary. Just throw that out the door. And yeah, sometimes I'll just feel really blank, because I'm like I did all this work to get here as a human, and like now I'm just like kind of chucking it all out. Very bizarre. But during this time, I felt like I'm dying. I'll have this like, I need to quit weed, I think, because smoking a little bit of weed will induce this feeling of dying. I'm dying, and I can't get out of this death trip that I'm in when I'm high. And I'm going through, like I told you, this weird health stuff with this rash. So for some reason, it's connected to that and the frailty of the body, and like, ugh. But yeah,
I feel you, because when I smoke, it actually induces anxiety, and when I have anxiety, I have a panic attack, and when I have a panic attack, I feel like I'm dying.
Right. Yeah. Like the panic attack for me is really quiet. It's like, it's not even literally I could have a panic attack and nobody knows. Mm-hmm. Like I could just be in real world, like doing real world things and faking my way through the scene. Like, and I don't even know if I'm faking. It's kind of like I'm split in half. There's one part of me is just doing things, and then there's another part of me is like, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. You're dying right now. You're slowly dying. And I'm just like, can you stop? Like, I'm just trying to like, just want to keep just socializing. Let me just have this thing. Thank you. God. Yeah.
I feel you. I meditate on death all the time. And it's so funny because like I always talk to my friends about this, and I'm like, we're like 30 and we're meditating on death and experiencing death, and some 70-year-olds think that they're going to live forever. Like, it's so funny. But when you talk about the rebirth, I actually had that experience on acid. On DMT, I stopped myself because I was at the lesser lights and I couldn't handle it. I didn't have a shaman with me. I don't think I could have done it alone. Like, I was just terrified. I had been doing psychedelics for about 2 or 3 years, 2 years at that time. I just didn't have it in me to just go through the death process until I was with a shaman and had taken ayahuasca and then taken LSD the day later. And I had never done LSD before, and I took 2 tabs. And
whoa!
I died. And I was reborn, and I remember being in the birth canal and just being birthed out. And it was this like cleansing process. And like you said, it was just like letting go of all the old programs, letting go of all of the false ego,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I got my little galactic mission where they were just like, grow the fuck up. Like stop being needy, stop being scared, stop being a
Yeah.
little girl, And then I just was like, me, this is great. And then you start thinking, oh, this is delusions of grandeur and all of this stuff. But then you realize it's just making you an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I think our spirits, like I have this belief, I don't have a lot of beliefs, but I feel it in my core that my spirit and our spirits call us to these experiences so that we can continue to evolve ourselves and continue to teach, like to teach what it is we've gone through. That's why we're here on the platform that we're on, is to offer these teachings to people in as comprehensive way as possible. Yeah.
And it's so funny. It's not, well, it's crazy. It's not even funny, but I don't know if, you're a meditator. I presume you're a meditator, because like anybody that is doing this is a super meditator. And you float, and I want to talk about that as well. But I have hypnagogic visions in my meditative states, and it always says, like in flashing green, evolution.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is that? Whoa. When you see that, what does that bring up when you're like receiving that?
It makes me realize that this little tiny human experience is just a stepping stone into going into the stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
That's why, like, I got the chills right now. But like that's what I know. I know after death that's where we go. We go into space. I've seen it. Like, we just become one with everything, and it's just like dying with knowing that, and dying in bliss.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, in order to get good at dying, whatever that's like, we have to live a life of letting go and getting okay with the natural ebbs and flows of life. And that's the breath, right? And the breath is receiving and letting go, and receiving and letting go. We're like always doing that. And like, we get to a point where it's like, receiving things, like people give me things, and like I'm feeling like I just want to clean my whole apartment out, like get rid of everything, letting go of everything, and not have attachment to material life.
That actually happened to me right after my psychedelic experience. The person that I was with, the person that I was leasing the apartment from, lied to me, and they didn't tell me that they stopped paying the rent. So I went off to Europe. I didn't know. I came back, all of my books on DMT, all of my paintings, everything that I ever owned was gone on the street.
Whoa.
And that's why I'm not attached. Like, I don't need attachments. I used to have a library of books. I used to have paintings everywhere. I used to have collectibles and all of this stuff. And, like, I just don't care. And, it really puts you in a mindset of, like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been through that Shakti energy a lot. And I've had that experience with, again, natural disasters. And it's been this synchronicity where I've lost everything twice. Once because there was a natural disaster and I almost lost my life, and I lost everything. Like, I had nothing, and I just didn't care. It was just so freeing, And you just feel this weight, like, oh my god, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter at all. And then I went to India, where, again, I had, like, 3 near-death experiences, and I'm just like, oh, man, I'm really unlucky not getting that, like,
this is all
3?
about. Yeah. I was in a monsoon at Kumbh Mela, which is very dangerous to begin with. For a woman in general to be going alone in India, it's very, very dangerous. I don't know if you've been, but I was very just naive. And I didn't realize that I was getting myself into something that was going to change my life for the rest of my life. Like, that was it. And there was a monsoon, and like my whole entire roof, because it was a little cottage, blew off. And I was like stuck in the middle of the monsoon, and it was like
Oh
weeks.
my God.
Yeah, weeks. And I just got the hell out of there. And then when I came back, right before I did DMT, I had a series of synchronicities of almost dying, like back to back to back to back. And I didn't realize it was all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are all connected. It's so interesting how that happens. Like, the psychedelic realm and this dimension and the events that are happening here, they're all just like echoes or ripples of like experience, like just, you know, or interpretations of experience. It's almost like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like there's layers of reality, right, at all times happening simultaneously, and some of them are being expressed in this way, others are being expressed this way, and like it's all metaphorical dreams, you know, like we have all these like layers of our experience that we can tap into, you know, meditation, things like that. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's why I'm just a little bit more. I understand being quiet now, because it's something that I was lonely before. It was I couldn't be alone, you know, and now all I want is to be alone.
Yeah, interesting. Wow, it sounds like, yeah, like again, like whenever people have experiences that are really big and life altering, like I can't help but feel like we asked for these events. You know, we asked for some pinnacle experience to take us on a journey and propel us to that next chapter.
So, have you had any near-death experiences?
I haven't had any near-death experiences. No, I've had psychedelic experiences where it felt like I was dying.
Well, that counts.
Yeah, it certainly does feel that way. And I've gotten into like a couple bike accidents, but not like to the point where it was like I would call it that at all.
Tell me about floating and what you use it for and all of that stuff, because I've tried it a few times and I love it. I would do it more often if it was near my area and like it was affordable, but I do a lot of ritual baths and I do a lot of like meditations in the bath with my crystals and my herbs and all that stuff. So just please tell me a little bit more about your experience with it. I think, were you the one that had done acid in a float tank?
I've done mushrooms in a float tank. Maybe not acid, but mushrooms, yeah. But I don't really tell people that I'm doing drugs. It's like I don't broadcast that I'm on drugs in these float tank journeys that I share with people online, because I just don't want to tarnish my work, like the business name or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't think it matters. I don't think they care, honestly.
Well, it was, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I thought it was you. For some reason, I thought it was you.
Yeah.
But it was somebody that had done a series on floating on psychedelics. So, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. No, but I'm actually going to look for that. Curious to see what that's about. So yeah, I can talk about floating all day long. It's like what I do. I don't know if you know that.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah. I love sensory deprivation. I actually spend most of my day in meditation with blindfolds on. So like,
nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, go for it. Tell me about it. Educate everybody.
Yeah. So okay, I've floated maybe, it doesn't matter really the number, but like close to 400 times. So I've been doing this for 4 years and maybe 5 years now. And it's honestly, it's like a journey of being with myself, and in the most intimate way. And what I say to people who come in the door, when people ask me like what floating is and stuff, I'll say like it's an appointment with yourself. Like you're showing up, you've made an appointment, you scheduled a time to show up and be with yourself. And what that looks like is different every day. Every single time you show up, it's something else. It's some other kind of meeting that you're having. And I like to imagine it as like some sort of check-in, or like, you know, kind of like what we're doing right now. It's like, hey, I'm just showing up and having this conversation with myself. And, you know, what comes up, what's going to come naturally to the surface to be looked at and examined, and to sit with if it's something hard. Sometimes it's a turbulent emotion, for example. It's like, you know, sometimes I'll find myself fighting against some energy that doesn't want me to go in the tank. And I'm like, okay, I love you. So we're just gonna hang out. Like whatever you want to share. If you don't want to share it, that's fine, but we're going to hang out together. And then I just like lay there. It's a practice of showing up for yourself, you know, honestly. And with showing up for all of the aspects of yourself too, like inner child, like teenager, all the metaphorical aspects that don't have names, and just, you know, parts of us. So yeah, I could ramble on. Sorry, I can't. I'm like feel about this. Yeah. But yeah, do you have let me just throw it to you and see like what kind of questions you have about floating. Like I feel like that would be easier for me to answer.
Okay. You wanted to talk about oneness, right? And how can you experience that in a float tank? Because I know I have.
Yeah, you have in the float tank?
Yes, absolutely. Like when you become everything, like that's what sensory deprivation is supposed to be, right? It's supposed to like have you detach from your body and this world, right?
Yeah, right. So, okay, there's so many layers of the float experience itself. There's that, what you're talking about, this blending into everythingness, where you don't feel the distinction between yourself, your physical self, and the environment anymore. And that allows like a sense of freeing, like a kind of like a container of water, and the walls disappear and like everything just blends and blobs out, you know? So there's that feeling of being everything and nothing. And then there's the in that space, it's kind of like that's like the boardroom for the consultation to take place. Like that gridded, like how I experienced it when I first started floating is it was like a grid space. Like there was black space with like neon green lines just dotting everything together.
Shut up. Like, are you serious? This is literally my hypnagogic hallucinations that I have every day. I see grids.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy that like one person has this experience one way and another person has this experience another way. And we're all talking about the same things.
Right. I think that we're all connected to like the collective unconscious. We're all connected to that, right? And we're all tapped in, and we're all just learning to remember that we are all one, right? Like we're all learning to remember that we're having conversations with ourselves. Like that's why when we talking about this, I'm like, can we have a conversation where we're both reflections of each other? Like how cool would that be?
And that's what like, and like I'm interjecting because that's what made me crazy.
Which part of that?
The fact that I'm talking to myself. It's all in my head. It's all this chemical experience. You know, it's all this like, I just realized I'm like, oh, wow, this is literally all going on in your head. And everyone is a reflection of you. And then everything started like talking back to me telepathically. And that's when I lost it.
Well, the ego is going to get challenged by that, I think, because the ego thinks it's one. And like, so it's there. I imagine it's a natural response for some resistance to show up when we're confronted with this, what is very apparent that we are connected in these experiences. We're being shown over and over again, you know? relaxing into that, is a tough one.
So what was the longest time you floated? And I want to hear more about that grid experience. I'm sorry to cut you off, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the grid was kind of the beginning. It was like an invitation to, okay, like, welcome. This is the beginning of your float journey kind of experience. And it used to be really visual. Like, I used to get I used to see a lot of animals, and I used to see a lot of eyes. And eyes was like a really common thing. Insects, eyes, layers and layers of life, expressions of life. And really, really detailed, high definition ape eyes, gorillas, elephants, like all different eyeballs. I would go through like floats where it was just pure eyeballs and pure animals and stuff like that. And then it's almost like I'm going through all the different expressions of life, because I've seen plants, I've been a plant. Like, there's lots of ways of being in there. The longest float I've had was 6 hours, and it was on mushrooms. And it was another one of those. I don't even think I documented it. I don't even think I shared it on my channel, which is weird. Maybe I did, but yeah, it was a lot of that kind of stuff too. I can't remember it now anymore, because it's weird. It's kind of like a dream. If you don't like jot it down, it kind of dissolves, which is fine, because it also teaches non-attachment to like the epicness that happens in there.
See, I'm all about bringing that information into 3D and like sharing it, and like I get very angry with myself when like I have this experience and I'm like, God damn it, like it was right there, but yeah, that's why I love lucid dreaming. That's why I love astral projection, because it's literally, you're doing the same thing, whether it's in psychedelics, whether it's in floating, whether it's in meditation.
Yeah. I feel like I want to explore all of these little branches off of this one arm on the tree with you. And I don't want to send us off on tangents, but I'm like curious about everything you just said. Like the lucid dreaming, like, I'm planning to quit weed, so I want to get back to my dream life. And I've been wanting to explore that more. And, like, I'm interested in hearing about dreaming and stuff like that as well. So that's kind of stuff I want to poke at.
Okay.
Like, in that
so the dreaming, I can recall at least 1 or 2, and that's on the low end, dreams a day. And
whoa. Do you smoke marijuana? Or
I do, but for some reason, like, I don't know, I think it runs in the family or something, because, like, I would hear stories of my great-grandfather astral projecting. Like, my grandmother would always tell me stories about how he used to visit his friends in Puerto Rico. My sister is a lucid dreamer, so it kind of, like, everybody that I know in my family is in, like, they have dreams. Like, my sister would call me and be like, what the fuck are you doing? I dreamt it. And I'm like, and I can't lie, because, like, she knows what's up. So, the dreaming aspect, it's not all roses. A lot of the times it's really difficult. A lot of the times it's like you said, it's very layered. And it's dealing with your subconscious and your issues and your healing, past experiences, whatever you are watching even. Like, I have to be very mindful of what I watch, because I don't want, an hour-long dream of me running from the killer, which might happen. But a lot of the times it's really powerful, and I sense that I'm working with an entity. I'm working with my higher self, God, whatever you want to call it, your oversoul. I don't even have a name for it, because it's formless, it's shapeless, and it's sexless. It's just a spirit. And how you know if this spirit is kind, if this entity that you're dealing with is kind, is the vibration and what it makes you feel and how it makes you feel. So There were experiences that I've had where I've been in multiple perspectives. So I'll be in my sleep perspective, sleeping and being aware that there's work being done on me, psychic work being done on me. And then I'm the like oversoul perspective of looking down and doing the work. And it was like stuff like that. We were just like, what is this? What's going on?
So when you say looking down, are you saying like you have this experience of like a bird's eye view of like the characters interacting, but you know that you're one of them? Or
I know that I'm both of them.
are all of them? Yeah.
But for the longest time, I thought it was something else. I thought it was, you know, something other than me. But then I realized, like, who else is having this experience other than me? You know, who else is doing the psychic surgery other than, I mean, there could be angels or whatever, but like, I've never seen them in actual form. You know, it's always this formless, shapeless spirit that is teaching me unconditional love and how to die. Like, that's what I do in my dreams. I've had so many dreams of like doing psychedelics. Like, that's why I'm.
Oh, I've always wanted to do that.
I've done mushrooms. Oh my god, mushrooms is so funny. There was a little years ago when I was growing. I don't grow anymore, but grow them with Oramus, and holy shit, they are amazing. Like, you can take up to 4 grams, and you're chilling. Like, I was fine at 4 grams, 3.5 grams, and I've never taken that much before. But anyway, the mushroom was, it was a dream of a mushroom dancing like down my throat. That was one of them. And I usually have premonitions before, so I never did acid before my acid experience with a shaman, and I had an acid experience. So it was like precognitive or something.
Yeah.
I've done acid in my dreams. I've done 10 hits of acid in my dreams, which was like crazy. Like that was a crazy. I actually did a video on that. 10 hits of acid in the Illuminati.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed that video. I was scrolling through your stuff just to see, like, you know, I want to get to know more and stuff like that. I don't know why I didn't catch that one, but
I've done ayahuasca in my dreams. I've done DMT in my dreams. I've done, what else have I done? But I've, as recently as like last month, I've done MDMA in my dreams. Also, I do other substances, like I'm partying and I don't care, and I'm doing blow, and I'm doing MDMA, and I'm doing acid, and I'm doing mushrooms and DMT, ayahuasca, and it's just experiences where like I die, or I'm learning how to die.
Yeah.
And I'm becoming okay with death, or the in-between death. So, yeah, those are my experiences.
That's fascinating. And I would love to hear about all of, I hope I'm sure you're documenting it. Are you writing a book about this stuff? Or I know I heard you were writing a book.
That's the next, you know, when you're just like, me, like... Like, who am I? You know, like, you're in that no ego thing where you're just like, who am I to write a book on such a thing? But, yeah, I'm documenting everything. I've had up to, I would say, 15 experiences with psychedelics in my dream space. And just, like, again, and there was this one that I took. It was ayahuasca, but it didn't look like ayahuasca. It looked like dirt. Like brown dirt. And it was this one where I was working with ETs, and they were showing us, I did a video on this, it was, I forget what it's called, but it was one where we were a psychedelic research group.
Cool.
That were souls that were, we were in like Plato's cave, almost, and we were learning astronomy, and we were learning how to die and how to use our psychic and telepathic gifts with each other. So it was like this learning lesson. So it's one-on-one with, like, say your lab partner or something, and you're like learning how to be telepathic. So that was one dream like that. Yeah.
That was the ayahuasca dream where you're practicing telepathy?
Yeah, practicing. It was like this brown dirt that they gave us, and psychically I said ayahuasca. And as soon as I took it, I was dying. And the person that was my partner, you know, like your buddy, your lab partner or whatever, they were like, all right, so we're gonna do this together. And we were like dying, and we were in between that life and death state. Mm-hmm. I've had dreams on tarot, which...
What does that mean?
Like tarot?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I mean. Like these lucid dreaming, man. Like it's not like, oh, I'm astral projecting. Like no, you meet some intense entities, intense contact you have, and you feel 1,000 times more. It's kind of like the psychedelic experience where you're like feeling. When you feel anger, you feel it 1,000 times. When you feel fear, you feel it 1,000 times. That's how it is there. And how, like, we as a species need to wake the fuck up and change our values and our ethics and what we believe in, and, you know, the system that we are all a part of isn't really serving us. I think that's what it was, because, like, that's what I got out of it. And I actually just had a death dream a few days ago.
A death dream?
Yeah. I have a lot of death dreams. I had one with my friend, actually. He's a rapper, a hip-hop artist. And I did an interview with him, but me being, again, so judgmental of myself, I'm just like, oh, I talk too much. You know what I mean? Like, so, like, I never put up these videos because I'm in judgment of myself so much. Not the other person, but me. And we have this amazing connection, and he died in the dream. And I remember feeling this intense love. And I just woke up out of the dream, and I'm telling him on Instagram, and I know I'm really intense sometimes. So, like, I know that freaks people out, and, like, they don't know how to deal with it, because I'm like, I had a dream about you, and I was in love with you, and you died. And, like, he's just like, no answer. But he gets it, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how intense we are, you know? And I was just, like, blurting all of this, like, I love you, you know, like, I was in love with you, but you don't realize it's, like, this unconditional love, you know, that you have for people, and, like, that's what I was trying to express, but I totally came off as a weirdo.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I've been on this weird, just on the note of caring what people think and stuff. Yeah. I've been on this sort of trajectory lately about just not giving a fuck. Like, just straight up, like, something broke in me recently. I think it was over the holidays, just, like, stirred up by some family stuff.
Same here. You know?
Yeah, and I came away from that experience.
I was always trying to justify my experiences, or trying to validate my experiences through other people. And the moment, like, with my family, I don't know if you've had this experience, but they are always judging me, you know, and it will never be, like, because I had this lifestyle before. Why did she leave all her friends? Why does she have no attachments to things? Why doesn't she care what we think about her? Yeah. And that alienates you so much that you end up not caring. And, like, I would apologize for my experience to people. And I would tell my grandmother, I'm sorry I'm this different. I'm sorry I don't meet up to your expectations. And then I caught myself doing that. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Who gives
Yeah.
a shit? Like, who cares what she feels? Because what she feels is really fucked up to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
Yeah, those are past paradigms, especially with our family. Like, there's parents, and then the fact that you're engaging with, like, even, like, a generation before your parents is you're having conversations beyond this dimension with them, and they've actually shown up to provide certain reflections to us so that we can have these conversations, right? So, and it goes both ways. Like, they're helping to neutralize their own resistance about how we're carrying our genetics forward. There's something in their cells that are like, no, it has to look like me. But that's the ego, right? Then there's another part of, like, them that their souls are still evolving too, and so we are on this accelerated path, you know, the ascension, the path of ascension, where we're all waking up right now, and our past paradigms don't know how to they don't recognize that because it's not familiar, and there's this kind of desire for, in my family, I think, for me to be a certain way, or my mom and I are very different, and I think we may never see eye to eye. You know, it's the things that I want from her in our relationship aren't necessarily things that are going to happen in this lifetime, and I just have to, like, drop it and let it go. And not drop it in a way where it's like I don't care about her, but drop it in a way that's like, I see that I'm on this path and I'm doing this kind of work. And if you can't, then I will. If you can't, then I will, is always been the path that I've been on, you know, like, I'm always taking it on, always taking it on. I used to be upset that I was always taking responsibility for things. I was always, like, apologizing or saying, like, I'm sorry, and trying to clear the air because nobody would really make that effort.
Yeah.
And it's actually fine. Like, I actually have gotten to the point where I'm no longer grudging about it, because that's actually heavy and dense energy that I don't want to carry with me. But it's also, like, I have to keep anchoring down into the fact that my mom, my sister, whoever I'm talking to, my sister and I were pretty good, actually, but whoever in my family just, I don't feel like is getting me. It's happening for a very important reason, because if I'm not grounded within myself, if I'm not rooted in what it is I'm here to do, and I'm not, like, firmly committed to this path, then, you know, what real good am I going to do? So they're actually constantly checking, being like, are you sure that's where you're at? Because I see you like this. And I have to have conversation with a person who sees me that way. So I have to drop the ego again. And it doesn't matter what they think of me. It just doesn't. Like, over the holidays, what happened, I'm not even going to get into the details, but something occurred where I realized, and I said to my mom, I was like, you know what? It's okay that you don't see me for who I am. It's okay that you don't understand what I'm here to do, and I'm not upset about this anymore. I just feel like I dropped it. I just feel like it doesn't matter. And, like, you can live your life and I'll live my life, and that's just where we'll both be, and we'll meet in the middle somewhere, you know, but I don't need I don't need to get you to understand me. Yeah. If you don't understand me, it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, that's something that I actually experienced, but a way more aggressive way, because I'm a Capricorn and my energy is just like, fuck this shit.
Oh, I did not get into the details, say fuck this shit, but I did, like, make a big, like, protest, like, in my living room in front of my friend. Like, it was a tense experience, and just, that's, these big energetic experiences have to happen. This energy has to be released in some way. You can't just quietly, like, nah. Like, sometimes we have to, like, say fuck this shit, you know. Sometimes we have to, because that's the only way to let it out.
It's so funny, because, like, I'm perceived as this crazy person that's just lost it and gone off the deep end. But for somebody that's crazy, I sure have a lot of motivation. You know, like, that's what I see within us. Like, we're doing things that, and, like, I don't know if this is rooted in, I don't think this is rooted in ego, because, like, this is what the DMT gods told me. Like, you are here to do something that it's gonna suck. People are gonna hate you. People aren't gonna like you. People are gonna judge you, you know, and it's gonna be really hard, but it's all about your soul, and it's not about the material. you
Yeah.
know, and what people think you have or you don't have. And like, that's why I was just like always apologizing for my experience and for being, you know, oh, don't talk about your visions, don't talk about your hypnagogic hallucinations. These are things that my family has been dealing with for generations, and nobody's talked about it. Like, and I'm not supposed to talk about it. Like, you know, like what about all the other people that are going through this? Because I know I'm not
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, there's reason we feel called to use the, you know, our voices and to share our experiences publicly too. And it's to help normalize.
So yeah, that was my Christmas blowout with my family.
Yeah.
And the reason why I talk about this is because I know people are going through this.
Yeah.
We should really not feel shame anymore.
Yeah, it's weird. I think it was Ram Dass who said something like, if you think you're evolved, go spend a weekend with your parents. It's like, I think about that every time I lead up to going and hanging out with my family. I feel so good. I'm like, I can do this. It's fine. It's going to be fine. I just won't talk that much. I'll just be like observing. I'll just observe, you know? And then like, as the longer I'm there, the more hooked I feel. Like there's these little hooks that are just like, ding, 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 ding. And I'm just like, hey, 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 hey. And then eventually I'm starting to get like injured by the hooks, and you know, I just start getting triggered and like go into my old reactive patterns of teenage Misha.
Oh, yeah, I start screaming. Like I have, when it comes to like two things that will fuck me. You fuck with my dog and family for some reason. That's a huge trigger, and that's why I say I don't know if we can have truly enlightening experiences in 3D in human form. When I've had enlightening experiences, they've been in the astral plane.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They've been like you know how I think it was what's his name, Muji or something? That guy who's also a public speaker. He talks about, I think his name's Muji.
I want to say it's Mooji, right?
Right? Okay. So he was talking, there was this YouTube compilation of enlightened beings, and they were talking about how there's this like thing that goes on in your head, and it's like this galactic information that's like streamed into your head. And I've only had that in hypnagogic experiences, in lucid experiences, and in psychedelic experiences, but never, you know, regular, non-altered states of consciousness.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder what it means to be in an altered state of consciousness, because I can be in a float tank and have these epic experiences, but I can also be sober and experiencing the ripples of a DMT experience. You know, I'm not altered. I mean, I'm not experiencing the drug or the substance in that moment, but like months later, I'm experiencing what feels very much like DMT essence, DMT energy. Yeah. Do you have that as well?
Always. Yeah. I check the back of my hands all the time, and I do that really frequently because I feel like I'm disappearing.
Oh my God, you help me feel so normal. Like, thank you for saying that, because that's like, I've been feeling I've been feeling super isolated in this feeling of like, yeah, what you just said, like, okay, like I'm here, like I'm doing this thing, like, you know, it's all, if I don't meditate, I can't. I have to meditate, or I won't keep myself together. Like, I'll unravel.
That's what I constantly, like, this is why I talk about all this stuff, because I'm like, if we're going through this, a lot of people are going through this, and they're just, they don't have the words to express it. They don't know how to express it, but we've been going through this for years, and the fact that we can resonate and relate to each other's experiences says a lot, because, like, we are all connected if we're all experiencing these things. And like, that's why I can't smoke a lot of weed now, because like I feel like I'm going into full on psychedelic experiences. Yeah.
Like, weed is wonderful, in that it's so accessible, and it's pretty normal at this point. But people like, but in that realm of being attuned by cannabis, like our cannabinoid, whatever receptors are all activated, as a result of that, for some reason, I feel like it kind of opens up portals to all the other psychedelic realms that we've visited. It's like weed is like this big room, and then there's all these doors around that are just pushed open. All the doors, acid, DMT, mushrooms, like, all the things, and just, mescaline, salvia, like, and we can just have these, like, just think about it from this place of being in the cannabis room. Yeah. I can think about what it's like in the DMT room and actually remember vividly that feeling. And it's way more easy to feel that while I'm high. Like, and having so many portals open, I think that's why I'm having anxiety with my experience to weed lately.
And another thing I realized, like, I don't need, you know how people need to revisit the psychedelic experience every year or two? It's been 2.5 years since I've had a DMT trip, and I still feel it. Like, I don't feel like I ever left that dimension or reality or whatever you want to call it. I can smell DMT.
Same, yeah.
I can actually smell it. Like, I
can taste it in the back of my throat sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And, like, that's why I'm just so happy to, like, share this experience with you, because it does make you realize, okay, I'm not crazy.
Yeah. I didn't know when I first did DMT that I would be stepping into a new dimension of reality, though. Like, I didn't know that this would continue on for so long. I didn't know that it would just imprint my reality moving forward. I thought I would have a psychedelic journey and then process it a little bit, remember it years later.
It changes your it changes your neuroplasticity within your brain, and it rewires your brain to think differently. So if your thoughts are different, your actions are different, your reality is different. Yeah,
especially 5. Like, I feel like 5-MeO DMT for me has been the most impact I've ever felt with a psychedelic in my whole life. Like, I've hit the ground running since that experience that I've had. I'm actually planning to leave the province. Like, I'm going to move. Like, I'm uprooting my life. I'm getting rid of my stuff, and I'm going to BC. Like, I've told my family, I've told my employers, like, I've just announced it to everybody that I know. Like, I'm just going. I don't even know what I'm going to do, but I have to go. Like, I just have to go experience another dimension, another world. I have to see everything around me new. Like, I want newness around me.
So where are you going?
I'm going to go to BC. I'm going to start in Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever think of, like, opening up your own float place?
It's come across. Like, I've thought about it a lot. Yeah.
Because I know this guy that has specs, and I actually have the specs if you want them, on how to make float tanks. And it's just like, Joe Rogan talked about this on a podcast, and, like, it was this guy that owns a float, like, place, and he released drawings on how to build a float tank. And I actually found them. And I know somebody in, I think, New York or New Jersey that started with those blueprints, made one, and now they have 3.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and people do it, like, in houses. Like, I've been to a float tank that was actually in somebody's house.
Yeah.
So, I think that's definitely something you should look into.
Yeah, it's some kind of dream. I'm not quite sure how it all fits together yet, but I've considered doing retreats and having, like, access to a space or a piece of land where retreats can happen. And I just want to be closer to the mountains and closer to nature and things like that. Lately, I've just been feeling kind of blocked in. It's such a dense city that I'm in right now. It's just, I don't get enough nature and sunlight, things like that.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, not that there's all the sunlight in Vancouver or anything like that, but high mountains, whatever. If it's raining, I'll be like, yeah, but there's mountains there, because they're you can't argue with that. Like mountains, when I have them decorating the peripheral of my world, like the periphery of my world, I'm kind of just like, I feel grounded all the time. Like I feel so comfortable there. The vibe there is really calm and chill and relaxed. And
so what was your 5-MeO DMT experience? Because I've never had an experience with 5-MeO DMT.
5-MeO is very weird. I think it's, from what I understand, I'm pretty sure it comes from the frog, like a frog medicine or whatever. But basically, 5 is nothing like NN-DMT. 5 is like, they call it the God molecule. And I completely get it, because the God molecule is bringing people, basically it gives you this feeling of being God. And when I came out, the facilitator was asking me, like, do you happen to like feel like God or anything? And I was like, not really. But when I moved through my reality for like weeks following, I've been feeling like I felt like I had all the energy to just do everything. That I have all this ability to like just make whatever reality I want with the resources I have around me, and anything is possible. Yeah. So that hitting the ground running is what I feel like it gave me, and it's been showing me all the things that aren't serving me, and just dropping that. Like I don't feel the same attachments to things that I did before. It's just so easy to let them go. Yeah.
I do think that all inspiration does come from the psychedelic experience, because when I was living in my old apartment, I had absolutely no motivation at all. I was just watching YouTube videos and wasting my time and, eating popcorn and chilling, hanging out with my cat. And for some reason, after that experience, I started painting. Like I started oil painting. I started doing acrylic. I started, doing graphic design and digital art and all of this stuff that, like, I went to art school and I never had this creativity. Ever.
Yeah, interesting.
Ever. Like, it's not, they don't teach you these things. They don't teach you anything in art school, like what I've been realizing. And it was after my psychedelic experiences that I had the creativity. So you do become resourceful,
Yeah.
And
it's like, well, DMT, any kind of psychedelic, really opens up a portal to, it kind of stretches out the channel between us and other dimensions. And it allows creative energy to flow through us. And the more we access this channel, the more we are keeping that open, that connection between that dimension and this dimension, the more easily that flows through the channel, right? The more we engage in art, the more engaged we are with that channel, the more it's just like fluidly flowing through us. And maintaining a sense of creation in our daily lives is how we keep that going. We don't even need psychedelics to keep it going, and really just art. And dreams, meditation.
Art, meditation, exactly. And like, another thing I wanted to ask you, do you get clairaudience at all? Like these tones?
Like when you say clairaudience, are you talking about like you hearing voices or hearing things?
Hearing, well, for me, it's hearing tones, like frequencies. Like
I've had that experience in the tank a lot, actually. I've had it being with myself. It's kind of like I think I even did a video about it, but it's kind of like at first you can attribute it to like tinnitus and be all grudgy about it, or you can be like, what is this, and be curious about the sound.
Here's the thing. It's not tinnitus, because when it happens, it's this rush, like of like energy, and I'm like, whoa. And before this interview, I had it twice. Like all morning, it was just this, like, my ear felt clogged, and I just felt this waves of energy. And like I was making dinner last night, and like I felt the energy, and like I stopped my partner. I'm like, whoa, what the hell is that? Like you feel like something moves right through you and past you, like this like punch.
Interesting.
yeah, this punch of energy. So I just wanted to know if you've
I wonder if
experienced
it's
this.
similar. Tell me if you think that this sounds familiar. So, like in the tank, this is a really good space to be with it because it's a very isolated experience. But it's kind of like one side of my brain is making a certain frequency, or I'm receiving a certain frequency, whoa, 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 and like I can see the pattern. Also, I can see the pattern of the sound. So the sound makes shapes, and so I can see. It's in my mind's eye. I can see it. It's hard to name, but yeah. And then on the other side of my brain, there's some other shape and other sound happening here, something like that. And the way that they all kind of, and maybe there's another one, and then so there's like a collage of auditory experience happening. But when I just really zen out, let myself just be in the middle of all of it, what happens is it just kind of equalizes. It's sort of just, it just blends. And what's in the middle of all of that is this like baseline frequency of like, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just, it all makes sense in that one place. It's and tuning into that middle ground feels like another one of these portals. It feels like if we meditate on the sounds, those frequencies that we hear, that actually we can blast off. And I've had experiences listening to auditory, somewhat hallucinations of these tones while falling asleep, and laying in bed listening to it. And it took me to a lucid dream. Like, just, it was like surfing on a wave of lucidity. It just, I coasted right into a dream with that.
Wow.
Do you have experience with that at all, or?
I have had once, and this was right after I did DMT, when I had the experience of hearing a shepherd's tone, if you know what that is. A shepherd's tone is this tone that goes it's this illusion, it's this auditory illusion of going higher and higher and higher and higher in tone, but it's just the same tone. And it's called a shepherd's tone. And I heard that in DMT, and it was like that wow, 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 going all the way up into frequency. Well, it's the same tone over and over and over again. It's just playing an illusion on you. On your ears. So I had that experience once.
Shit, sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, my phone fell over because I got a message again. It's really got to not have notifications.
Yeah, no, so I had that experience, and then a week later, I had this shepherd's tone, like, experience again, where it was that, like, and then when I closed my eyes, I saw what looked like a tunnel, if that makes any sense, with geometry everywhere.
Yeah.
A blue tunnel. And it was just like going through this tunnel of geometry into white light. So
I've experienced something like that before. It's a gridded tunnel. Like, at least for me, it was grid. My experience of it, darkness, but gridded out tunnel, and like falling through kind of like this belly button corridor, just like infinitely going through this tube.
I see grids all the time, and that's why I love Blender, and I'm like, Blender is life, because like it's literally my experience in hypnagogic states. I always see computer code. That's another thing that I'm constantly seeing.
Did you say Blender?
Blender, you know,
what is that?
The software, the program to make 3D renderings of like 3D art.
Oh, cool.
So that's what I see. Like you see the X and the Y axis, and it's all black, and then there's a green grid, and you see these, like, I don't know what I see these like shapes usually, and they're platonic solids. And I'll see a cone, and then I'll see, you know, like another, like a circle, or like not a circle, but a sphere. And then I'll see a cube, and they're all strategically placed on this grid. I don't know what the hell I'm seeing, but like I see stuff like that. Another thing I see is like binary code, and then I see almost like key encryptions, like you know, those really long passcodes, like uppercase A, 6, lowercase y, 0, and then another letter, and then it's just like letters and numbers, uppercase and lower cases, like a really hard passcode. Like that's what I see, and I just see them rolling in just like different codes. I see technology that I don't understand.
When you say you don't understand, is it do you feel anything? Like, instead of understanding it, do you have feelings when you're presented with them?
I feel something going on, but it seems like you're a monkey in a spaceship.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like beyond your comprehension, or beyond, like, it's almost like we have 8-bit reality glasses trying to perceive 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D. Like, we're just trying to perceive it, but can't.
Exactly. That's how I feel. So for me to say I'm like this authority and I know exactly, like, I don't know what the hell I'm seeing. It's all new. This has all happened within the past 2 or 3 years, and I'm figuring it out, and I'm trying to, you know, get in touch with people that have had similar experiences and are figuring this shit out. But yeah, I see a lot of code. I see that one where it was just like evolution, and like I was asking questions, and it would like flash in green neon. I see stars all the time, constellations. Like these are all the things that I've documented. Hieroglyphics and like different, I don't know, they're dashes and dots. I saw the I Ching, like the dashes and the dots in there.
Yeah.
And then I think like the Mayan, what is it, the Mayan code? I don't know what it's called. But there are these like Mayan code, like the Mayan calendar, you know. But yeah, the feeling that I get, it's evolution, and we don't understand it just now. But I think we're really young, and I think that there's a lot to learn. You know, I don't really know what's next, but whatever it is, we're going to the stars. Like, whether it's in, you know, the transcendental object at the end of time is your own death. Like, that's what it is, you know? And I feel in every moment, every fear, every anxiety, I'm dealing with death. Even what motivates me, death, because I realize, oh shit, I don't really have a lot of time here.
Yeah. I resonate with that a lot. Yeah. I got shit to do. I'm sorry. I will take as good care of this vessel as I can as I propel myself forward.
Yeah. And like that's what, like, when people are just like, wow, how are you doing all of this like stuff? And it's just like, you don't understand. The older you get, the more you realize how little time a human actually has, you know, to do. I don't have enough time in the day, but that's my experience with hypnagogic hallucinations. It seems that you have the same like hypnagogic experiences. This happens in no thought for me, like in meditation. Is it the same for you?
It's like watching a movie, kind of like a narrative unfolding. And I mean, I've done meditations with like shamanic drumming and like listening to the drum, like the progression of the drum, you know, because it can go from just like a normal tempo, and then like it gets louder and more intense, and then like it takes you down. It kind of creates the arc of the hero's journey in the drumming. And then I'll start the meditation with an intention to explore something really simple. Like there's, for example, I've approached the labyrinth, and there's something in the middle of the labyrinth that I have to get. And it's really important that I get this thing. But once I find myself in the labyrinth, I find that I'm stuck, or that my progress has been halted somehow. So I'll go into my meditation with this scene.
Yeah.
so then I'll go into drumming, like the drumming will happen and I'll like close my eyes and I'll just be like listening and watching and feeling, and I'll see it all unfold. I'll see what the hindrance is. I'll see what the thing is that interferes with me getting from this to the next level. I'll see what I can learn there. It's just kind of like a passive observing of my own consciousness, just navigating the challenges that are taking place. It's metaphorical in the same way that dreams are. Sometimes it can feel like a lucid dream. Sometimes it can feel consciously guided too. Like, I have the intention to, I see this gigantic egg. I want to go up to the egg and see what's there. And, it's like being in a video game. Yeah. Like what it feels like.
So do you do the drumming or does somebody else do the drumming?
No, like it would be like external. It would be like a track of some kind but being played. I actually had this course that I signed up for, which is like it's almost like a shamanic course, but it's also, it's have you ever heard of Robert Moss? I hope you know who Robert Moss is. No? Oh, you love him. If you're into dreaming and lucid dreaming and stuff, he's like, for me, he's been like a teacher in lucid dreaming and dreaming in general and shamanic journeying and all of that. Just like he's amazing. He's a great teacher. So I'll show you the link to the program or something, but he's got tons of stuff out there. But yeah, the whole program is kind of sets the tone for the meditation. So there's that preemptive story, like you have this story, and then you move through it and your consciousness just unfolds the story for you. It tells you what's going on and takes you on a journey. Come back, write it all down.
For me, expressing is the hardest part because I feel like I'm a babbling psycho when I'm talking, because like it's just so hard to put into language, especially when a lot of it has nothing to do with language but feeling.
Right.
So it's very difficult. My problem is communicating the experience.
And finding the language, for sure. I used to do dream reading for people on the sidewalk. Like I would do this, I would just put up a sign and be like, free dream reading, like dream analysis or interpretation or whatever the sign said. And people would come up and share their dreams with me, and I would just like talk to them about what their dreams could mean and like explore all of the nuanced ways one can look at the dream. Because a lot of times people recall their dream and they just share the event that took place. Oh, I did this, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And what I'm really curious about are, so when you chose to do this, what were you feeling when you made that choice, or what motivated you to make that choice? And when that choice happened, like, how did you feel then? And like, just exploring the feelings and the intentions inside of it all is, I think that's where this real integration can take place when we're processing our dreams and our inner journeys in general.
Yeah. For me, the dream is all about feeling and visual. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I had this lucid dream. I didn't talk about this because, I don't make videos that often, but I like to save everything and then talk about it. But I had this lucid dream where, like, my anxiety was kicking in because I'm like, oh man, I was like dreaming with my dog. And we were near these rocks with a stream of water, and I drank some water, and all of a sudden I'm looking at my hands because I'm like, oh my God, I drank tainted water, and like I'm freaking out. First thing I do is look at my hands. And if you do that a lot, you're going to start doing that in your dreams, actually. And when like you look at your hands and like you see other people's experiences, and they're just like, oh, my fingers grew all the way, and like something weird happened, and like you try to look back and it's not the same. But for me, when I look at things, I look through them for a really long time in the dream space. So it's
like your hands, or
like I was like, how like people are talking about like when you look at something in the dream space, something's weird or something's off. Well, it's a lot more subtle than you would actually think, because I was expecting to look at my hands and like claws come out or something. That's not what happened. It looked absolutely normal. And then I woke up and I looked at my hands and I was wearing henna. And I'm like, oh shit, like it's very subtle, like things like that where you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, you know, like that's what I'm dealing with. So for me, it's like picking up the triggers, because your subconscious, whatever, you know, you are constantly giving yourself triggers of like, oh, this is weird, or like this isn't normal.
Yeah.
For me, it's like putting on my glasses, because like for some reason, like I have perfect vision in my dreams,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, sometimes I have to put on my glasses, and like that's when I realize when I put on my glasses that I'm dreaming, because like
Interesting. I've never interacted with my glasses before in dreams. That's interesting.
yeah, everything's really foggy, and then I put my glasses on my dream, and like I could see, and I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Like, can I do that in regular life? Like, no, I'm still blind as a bat.
Yeah, I was thinking about the things that I do in dreams that call me to awareness that I'm dreaming, and the thing that I think that I do is, I mean, I'm gonna try this hand thing, because I like to get into the ritual of just checking, reality checking. I do have "Am I dreaming?" written on my phone screen, so every time I look at my phone, there's the question of that. But it has yet to show up on in my dreams.
Yeah.
But what I do in waking life is I just interpret reality. This is constant. Like, I just interpret reality like it's a dream. I interpret metaphors. It probably drives my friends crazy, but it's like, oh, I wonder what that means. Like, I'll just like interpret the metaphor of a thing, or something will grab me and I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. And then whatever. So that way of thinking actually has made its way into my dreamscape. And so when I experience really weird things in dreams, I'll be like, I wonder what that means. And I'll just kind of meta analyze from the inside, from this conscious yet still dreaming place.
Yes.
It's very interesting.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've experienced that as well. When I'm astral projecting and I'm conscious that Samina, like 3D Samina, has a fear of heights, but I'm up in the sky, like taking selfies, and I'm like, oh, let me take a selfie for my Instagram. I'm like, oh, this isn't working. Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So,
have you ever had social media dreams where you're like on Facebook or you're on Instagram or something?
I can have dreams where I'm surfing the internet, but my hypnagogic hallucinations, I can also, like, I have, you know, the Google desktop, like, I access that in hypnagogic states as well. Like, that's what I mean. A lot of it's about technology, technology, like iPads. Like, I had this hypnagogic hallucination of an iPad. And again, this is before I ever had an iPad. Didn't use an iPad until my birthday. And this happened like 6 months ago before that. So it was this iPad, and it was like bluish yellow, and like these shapes were coming out. These 3D shapes were coming out of it. A lot of technology stuff. Like, that's what I mean. It's just like, I feel like I'm this like monkey trying to understand what the hell is going on here. When you talk about eyes, I actually had a hypnagogic hallucination yesterday where I was like, you know, zoning out, like you go into no thought, and like for me, the first thing I see is flowers or leaves, like you say, anything natural, but also very robotic. Like, I see a lot of like fractals of just like going like this, like fractals just like moving, like really weird. And I saw actually somebody looking in, and it was an eye and just like blinking at me, and it just freaked out. It was just like, oh shit.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like I have experiences with that. Like, I on the full moon, again, hypnagogic hallucinations, they're not all just like, for me, fun and animals and nature. I wish it was that. It's a lot of chaos. Like, I see a lot of chaos. On the full moon, I saw a whole bunch of people screaming together, like a mob. And like, I was looking through and just see like everybody's just like screaming and like angry, like things like that. I'll see monsters. I'll see something that's so so beautiful or so ugly it's beautiful, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's what I see. And I also can view psychedelic art, and that's where a lot of my art inspiration comes from.
Yeah.
There's a place in like a lucid dream where you're just like, you're viewing psychedelic art that's like timeless through, I guess, I don't know where that inspiration comes from. I guess it comes from the same place as the psychedelic realm. But I can actually see art. And it's really funny because it actually looked a lot like Chris Dyer's art. Like very tribal, awesome. You know, like very Mayan inspired. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice. I've seen, but it's really interesting to hear other experiences, and they're so similar. Like the eyes things on acid, I always see eyes. What I think it was Alex Gray that calls them alchemical angels or something. Was it him? I believe so. I haven't
heard that before. Alchemical angels, no.
Like I think he has a name for them, and it's why he always paints the eyes. But for me, at least, I see them as well, and I don't know whether it's my eye, whether it's another person's eye. I'm not quite sure. What, if any, I kind of want to discuss very lightly, since we've been talking about dreams, and psychedelics, and floating, all the cool stuff. What contact do you have, if any? And if not, that's cool, because like I have very limited contact with ETs. I think because a part of me, ever since I was a child, was terrified. Mm-hmm. You know, so like, what do you need? There we go. What experiences have you had with ETs? Has it been through dreams? Has it been through psychedelics?
Yeah, something that you said earlier struck me in a way where it's kind of like it's not like this external experience where they're outside of you. It's that inside. You are consulting with them in some other way through your mind. And I've had this experience a couple of times, but one of the most prominent is just when my first float ever, which was like 5 years ago. And it was like this, I don't even know if I want to call it ET, but it's just whatever. I went into this, it's almost like I burst into a room in this vision. I pushed my way through a door, and I was kind of panicked, like I was out of breath, like I'd been running for a while. And then I arrived in this white room, and I was just like, where am I? And then they were like observing me, and they're taking notes. They're like, okay. And they're making note of like my state, and just observing and checking in with me and seeing where I'm at. And they know that I'm not going to really understand what it is that we're doing here right now, because I'm so embedded in the story of being in 3D. I'm so deeply invested in this life that I'm leading that I can't possibly come back and be like, okay, so guys, things happening over there. No, I'm like, what's happening? And they're like, okay, so they're just checking me out. They're just assessing me, looking at me. They got white coats on. It's pretty standard. Like, you know, they were dressed like doctors, like or scientists or something. They had white lab coats on, and just observing me. And but it also felt like an attunement at the same time. It felt like I was coming back for maintenance, like I was getting, I don't know, some kind of tune-up in this place. And I don't remember what happened there. Like, I can't remember now. But in the continuation of the float itself, once I came back out of that room, I was in the darkness again, and I saw a yellow cloud. And the yellow cloud contained information. It contained information about my body. It contained information about the state that it was in. And then there was also some advice attached to it that said that I'm about to embark on a journey that was going to be really difficult, and it was going to relate to my physical state, and get ready. And a couple weeks later, I got shingles, actually. I got a nerve infection. And like, from that point on, I've been on this spiritual journey. Like, that was the beginning of everything. And everything as far as I'm concerned, you know, as far as this chapter that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how we can, it's still vivid to this day, you know, this clarity of that.
Yeah, absolutely. 1 second.
Is that what you mean by ET?
I've also had an experience with like an observer observing me. Do you know what they looked like at all?
Honestly, I feel like it didn't matter what they look like, but I feel like they were dressed as humans to make me feel
Less
like
scared.
safer.
Yeah.
But they don't have form. They were just dressed in like what looked like some place where I'm supposed to feel safe, like a doctor, you know, like, and I don't feel safe in doctors' offices anymore. Actually, after that whole experience that I had, it was just like, wow. Yeah, the healing and the doctor lives in here. I'm gonna take care of me, you know. Like that's been the journey I've been on ever since. So they're what they look like. They were just pretending to be humans. They're humans
pretending to be humans. I feel you on that because I've had contact in my dreams with multiple beings, mantids. Which are the insectoid-looking ones.
Yeah, I've seen those in dreams. Yeah. Does it count in dreams?
Yes. No, I only get contacted in my dreams. Like, that's what I mean. Like, float experiences, lucid experiences, dream experiences.
Lizard people. There's, like, I've seen lizard people in dreams a lot. Lots of, like, kind of lizard-like or reptile-like creatures with, like, that kind of texture on their skin. And I've also encountered lion people or cat people, and that's been coming up a lot. The cat people. Like one of my most recent journeys, meditations, was finding myself in a portal, like this web of sacred geometry. And it was kind of like a cloud tunnel. So there's a cloud tunnel full of geometry, all pastel, beautiful. He's standing in the gateway of this portal where it's just opening up into this vast area. In the back is like this glowing light that's just like through a layer of cloud, but it's like pulsing, and it goes around a corner, so I can't see where it goes from there, but it goes for a really long time. And he's standing at the gateway. He's got this suit, this kind of like a military suit on, and he's got like all these badges, and he's like wearing like velvet or something, and he's like really like, you know, stoic looking, and he's just like, this is where you're from. This like something really simple, like, you know, don't forget, this is where you're from.
Oh man, I just got chills again. That's like, okay, when I did that time traveler video, everybody's just like, why the hell is she in a like Star Trek spacesuit? Like, that's how they come. Like, that's how they come in your dreams with, like, these space cadet suits, almost like military, like with patches and, like, symbols and stuff like that. Yeah, like, I've experienced that before. Not with the lion people. I don't know how I would react to that. I think they know that, like, I would freak out a little bit, but I've always wanted an experience with them. I've had experiences with the green people, like the green little men or whatever, in both DMT and in lucid dreams. So, like, you know how, like, they're grays? Well, their skin wasn't gray. Their skin was green. And they had, like, the big eyes, you know, and, like, the tiny mouth, and, like, I don't know if they had a nose, but it was, like, right there, like, looking at me, and it was, like, this very sterile environment where we were just observing each other, and, like, that was it. So, and then I've had experiences with, like, Nordic-looking people when I was in, actually, Norway. I was in Oslo, or was I in Iceland? I don't remember, but I met this, like, blonde being, this really tall blonde being that was, like, super white with, like, ice blue eyes, and I knew it was an ET. Like, it didn't feel human to me, where I've had experiences like that. I have seen the lizard people in an acid experience, actually. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't terrified at all. That was the weird part. Like, whenever I have these experiences, my first reaction is, you should be terrified. But that's not the reaction that I have.
Should be terrified. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah. What were you feeling?
I was like peace, healing. Like, that's what I was feeling. I was feeling like this thing was psychically, like, again, doing psychic surgery on you.
Yeah.
Giving you a tune-up, or like what I like to call upgrade.
Yeah.
That's what I was feeling. You're getting all this galactic information, and you feel your own alienness, if that makes any sense. Like, you're like, oh, this is, like you said, it's not exterior, it's a part of me.
Yeah.
You know? I've had a visit with the Arcturians, and, like, I realized, like, I am Arcturian. That's the star constellation that I come from. So I've had, and they gave me an actual serial number. But yeah, nothing with, nothing.
Did you write it down? Do you know what the number is?
Yeah, I actually did a video on that. It's Arcturian contact, and it's the one with the geometry on it. I was doing videos outside in nature for a long time. I think it was 7 to something else, 726, but the numerology of it goes back to my numerology number, my birth date. So if you add up all my birth, my month, day, and year, it comes to 33. And
same here. Whoa, what kind of 33 are you? I'm at 1122.
1224.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's so close.
Yeah. So, and the 33, when you go down, it's 6. So, it's basically my code that they gave me, the numerology of that goes down to 6. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all these things, you're like, wow. But you're a 33. Of course you're a 33. All 33s are here to do some, again, not being egoic, but like, we're here for a higher cause. Like, we're just here to serve humanity, I think. Serving the collective, I don't really know, but of course he would be a 33.